History is full of rich connections to God and the great outdoors He created for us. I'm on a mission to share these experiences with my children, alongside other fathers who want to introduce their sons and daughters to the beauty and bounty of the world where we are blessed to walk with our Heavenly Father in His garden. My name is Jacob Whitley. This is Fathers and the Great Outdoors.
Whoa, we got a fish.
Smile. Welcome to Fathers and the Great Outdoors. If you want to continue to support this content, you can check out our shop at greatoutdoorspodcast.com. We got plenty of merch, some fishing gear, camping, some hunting gear. Hopefully we'll add some more going forward. Today we have Drew Blake with us. How you doing?
Doing good. How are you doing?
Good. So why don't you start by kind of just tell me a little bit how you got into the great outdoors when you were younger.
Well, started off with my father. Our first adventure was a turkey hunt, and I was probably 5 or 6. And when we went, it was a rainy day. Big storms came through, and we had to sit in the truck. And it was about an hour later. We went and had a turkey in a pasture that he shot. And when he shot it, he ran and jumped over the fence. Well, when he ran and jumped over the fence, I ran after him, and when I grabbed the fence, it was an electric fence.
Ooh.
So I screamed, and he turned around, and first experience of me hunting, he turns around and he says, "Son, that fence is hot." And it was from there, it was a bug. That's been developing, and I guess just keeps growing in me.
Yeah. How did he get over it?
Oh, he just jumped over it.
Oh, he just jumped.
He was so excited that he didn't feel it.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
What about for fishing?
We'd always pond fished when I was smaller. And then we fished in a few crappie tournaments and things like that. But we really started fishing probably when I was in middle school. It was really when we started fishing really good. We went from a 17-foot Mitchcraft boat to the 21-foot boat that we're on today, fishing for stripers, catfish, going to the coast for speckled trout, flounder, and then getting a little further offshore for king mackerel, Spanish mackerel, mahi, things like that.
You take this boat in the ocean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. We've been 15, 20 miles offshore with it.
Yeah. What's you were telling me a little bit about, you kind of grew up on this lake?
So we always used to come up here and camp when I was little. We'd stay at either Henderson Point or Hibernia. And we were always out here on the tubes, riding behind the boat, things like that. And then, like I said, we started fishing once I was able to get out on the boat and walk around and actually be helpful.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, from my grandpa being up here when they built the dam, to us being up here camping, and I try to come up here as much as I can during the year to try to striper and catfish.
Yeah. A lot of memories out here, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. A lot of good memories, a lot of bad memories. We rode out Hurricane Bertha here in a pop-up camper.
Ooh.
That was fun.
What was as far as when you were getting started hunting, or even hunt since, what's kind of been your favorite or most memorable story?
Probably that turkey story was my favorite.
Yeah. First ones are always some of the best.
Yeah, the second one was another turkey hunt. We my dad did plumbing work, and I always helped him. Well, on Saturdays I helped him, and then I worked at the golf course in the afternoon during high school. And we were coming back from a job, and I pulled in the house that we lived in Durham, and there were a group of turkeys across the road. So I go in, take my shower, and get ready for work to go to the golf course. And my dad comes in and he says, "You saw those turkeys, right?" I said, "Yeah, I saw those turkeys." He said, "Well, grab your gun." He said, "Don't go to the golf course. It's just a golf course." He said, "They can wait for you."
Yeah.
So I had on khaki shorts, pair of tennis shoes, and I threw on a camouflage long sleeve shirt. I army crawled across the field, and he had walked up to my uncle's driveway and walked up to where he could see the turkeys in the field, and he was waving at me, telling me to move up because there was a little knoll in the field. And the first turkey that stuck his head up, I pulled the trigger. I didn't even wait to see it. All I could see was about 4 to 6 inches of his head.
Yeah.
And he came running across the field. He's like, "You shot the wrong one."
Yeah.
And we looked at it and had 11.5-inch beard.
Oh.
But the one that we were after had 3 beards.
Okay.
And all 3 of them were probably about 4 or 5 inches wide when he was standing. And the next morning we woke up, got back on that turkey, and he called him. That turkey broke every rule that a turkey has, and that's he crossed a fence, he crossed a creek, and then he came up a hill, and he came within 10 yards of me, and I couldn't shoot him. I was old enough to drive, so I was probably 16, 17.
Yeah.
But I couldn't bring myself to shoot him because I'd shot one the day before, and it's my first turkey. So I let him go, and he walked right between us two. And when he walked by, or when we got ready to go and go back to the house, my dad was 30 yards in front of me, just mad at me. Because he had called that turkey all the way in, called him to me, and I didn't shoot him.
Yeah.
But when I got to the house and explained to him why I didn't, he understood that and he appreciated it. But it didn't make him feel any better.
Sure. Probably a trophy in his head for that one.
Yeah, I mean, that one, we had been watching him for 2 or 3 years growing.
Oh, okay.
And that would have been a once in a lifetime turkey, but I couldn't bring myself to shoot him.
Just didn't feel right.
No.
That happens.
It does. I've had a lot of instances like that.
Yeah. Bunch of trouble ones. Had some where, like for deer hunting, where I'm not 100% sure I hit the deer, and another one comes by, and I'm like, should I take this one?
Yeah. Yeah, that was last weekend. Me and a group of our guys that helped us with the nonprofit, we went to Lower Roanoke Refuge. We shot 5 deer out of the same stand over 4 days.
Yeah.
And Friday morning, I climbed up in that stand, and 3 does came in, and I shot the first one, and she ran about 20 yards, and the other 2 ran with her and kind of stood there. So I waited a few minutes. I was like, well, might as well go shoot the second one. So I shot the second one, and then the third one ran off, looped back around, and walked in the same trail that they came in before, and I shot her too. That was the first time that I've ever been able to do that.
Yeah.
It's probably something that I won't ever do again, but it's pretty cool.
Right. A lot of work on the back end for both, or you just don't think it'll line up like that?
I just don't think it'll line up like that again. Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of work, but it was a fun experience too.
Yeah. I'm sure. When you were looking at making a family, it sounds like you had a good upbringing from your own family, did you have intentions of bringing your own kids up even before having kids within the great outdoors?
Yeah, definitely. That was one thing that, so it's probably been 7 or 8 years ago. My family sold, where I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a street that had all family. Out of the 8 houses, 6 of them were family members. From my grandparents, uncles, aunts, cousins, everybody. And I had probably 300 or 400 acres where I could just free roam. It wasn't all of our land, but we were able to ride four-wheelers and things like that. And what hurts me the most is my kids won't ever see that. They won't ever witness that because we don't have that ability anymore. All the land's being taken up, everything's being turned into subdivisions, and those of us that want our kids out there, we don't have the money to be able to buy that land anymore.
Why did you have to sell
it? We had 2 subdivisions coming in beside us.
Oh, okay. So it was basically being forced out.
Basically, it was time to get out while we still had time. So yeah, I want both of my boys out here with me. They're still young. They still don't have, I guess, the drive to be out here.
Yeah.
Especially on a 29-degree morning like we have this morning.
Disciplined to get out of the warmth and into the cold.
Yeah. But hopefully they will. I'm not going to force them because that's the worst thing that you can do.
Right.
Is force a kid to do something. But they'll have every opportunity to be out here with me.
I thought about just setting up a tree stand in my backyard because I got deer that come through all the time, just with like a camera, get like a 2-seater, and then just seeing how long my oldest can handle the morning cold, waking up early. Start with that before we even go hunting.
Yeah, I took our youngest colt. I took him 2 years ago turkey hunting deer hunting right behind my house. And he sat in the ground blind 10 minutes. When they're ready to go, it's best to just let them go.
Right.
So
otherwise they'll hate it.
Yeah. So I used it as a learning experience for him. I told him to go to the house, and no sooner had he got to the house, 5 or 6 deer popped out in front of me. So I sent him a picture and video of them walking by me, and I'm like, a little more patience. This is what you would have seen.
Yeah.
But, it happened.
You take them fishing at all?
To the pond.
Pond?
Yeah, we take them fishing at the pond. They're 4 and 7, so it's still, they're not young, but it's still in that phase where, when they're ready to go, they're ready to go.
Yeah.
And there's not much options of where to go out here on the boat.
Sure. Do they enjoy eating wild fish or game?
They really haven't experienced that yet. I try to keep that to me and my wife right now. Believe it or not, one of my oldest son, I don't think he's ever eaten a piece of meat. He's 7 years old.
Just in general?
Yeah. For some reason, he just doesn't want it.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's what we're thinking too. It's just a personal, I guess, decision that he's made. But yeah, I mean, he won't eat any meat, which is slightly frustrating when we're trying to fix dinner. But
yeah.
Again, we don't want to force him.
Whenever it's my turn to make dinner, I'll start the steaks or something like that, and then my wife will be like, "What are the sides?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah, that is the side.
Yeah,
that's the meal.
That's the whole thing. Doing 8 variations on steak.
Yeah.
I'm actually curious if we do get anything. I was looking up a recipe for the striped bass, and it was basically just the skin on seared bass with baked and then seared, or I guess like pan fried fennel. Sounded interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried it. all kinds of different ways, but the best way that I've found is deep fried with house archery mix.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
To do kind of like a blackened almost.
No, just bread it and then
Oh, okay.
dunk it in the fryer. I know it's simple. But
So you just put the mix in the breading essentially.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's a mixed breading.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. You either put water or milk in it, and then just bread the fish in it, and dunk it in the fryer.
Yeah.
It's simple, but that's the best way that I've ever had it.
Right. I wonder if it would work as a beer batter fry.
Yeah.
I do that with mahi.
Yeah. Any frying for me is good. We broil Spanish mackerel and king mackerel, and we'll grill it too. Flounder will grill, but I just like fried fish.
Yeah. If it's done right, it's good.
Yeah.
It seems like most of the fish well, maybe I just didn't look enough when I was younger. But growing up, it was like most like fish tacos and stuff, it was always fried. Mm-hmm. It was very difficult to find it just grilled or blackened.
Yep.
But I think out here, most restaurants will offer both.
Yeah, they do. I mean, blackened mahi is really good. I've never fried one of those.
A mahi?
Yeah, it's just too good, either grilled, blackened, or broiled. But yeah, I mean, freshwater fish, I pretty much fry them all.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. What about trout?
Like mountain trout?
Yeah.
Honestly, I have never eaten a mountain trout.
Oh.
Yeah, I've never been trout fishing.
Maybe that's more of a West Coast thing. No, because you can do the Watauga River's trout, isn't it?
Yeah, we have them here. Anywhere up in the mountains. The closest ones to us are the Mayo River up in Eden, the Dan River up in Eden. There's good trout and walleye that come there, and then the Wildlife Commission stocks a lot of ponds around us in the Piedmont every year.
Yeah.
Pretty much in the fall. They should be doing it pretty much around now. Late fall, early winter, and they stock brown trout in them.
Yeah.
So you can do that, and there's no size limit on those or anything like that.
So if you don't do you ever do fly fishing? If you don't do trout?
No.
Not really?
No, I don't have the patience for fly fishing.
Yeah. It's in a way it's like a spot and stock where you gotta see the fish in the water.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd rather throw the lure one time than 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
That's
I get that.
That's just me.
That might be the difference with I mean, I feel like fly fishing might be a bit much for young kids, but I'm primarily using lures right now because my son doesn't have the patience for like a worm and a bobber.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem to mind. The only time we ever use live bait has been in the ocean. He doesn't seem to mind that, but that could be because the charter we take takes us right on top of where they're going to get bites right away.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, something like we're doing today, pulling these planer boards, it can get boring for kids.
Yeah.
It can get boring for us too, especially if we're not catching fish. But the way we fish in the summer up here is trolling.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll troll somewhere around 1.5 miles per hour with downriggers and trolling umbrella rigs. And you're fishing anywhere from 30 feet to 75, 80 feet.
Oh, wow.
And doing that, the boat's always moving. It's not just sitting here waiting for a fish to bite. You're riding up and down the lake. You're moving pretty much around the lake pretty quickly.
Yeah. I wonder if that would work. Are you familiar with Bass Lake down in Holly Springs?
No, I've heard of it, but
it's never. It's a tiny little thing, but that's where I had the canoe with the trolling motor on it. Mm-hmm. I wonder if I could use that to have the lures running and just kind of circle the lake.
They actually have canoe versions of downriggers. that clamp to the side.
Oh,
of them.
okay. So gotta bring it with me.
Yeah, it is. It would be possible.
Guess I just have to figure out how deep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would be possible. A lot of people up here, which is something that I want to try to get into, is called light hunting for crappie. And what they do is a lot like we're doing with planer boards here, but they actually fish with like 14, 16-foot rods, light tackle, and they'll put a little jig head on it and fish just like we're doing with the trolling motor and just kind of ease along. And those jig heads will get down to where the crappies are suspended, and they catch slabs of crappies up here. But it's something that I've never done because this boat's a little hard to handle with the T-top, kind of troll or slow trolling like this with wind and everything.
Do you what's the national park you go to for hunting sometimes, or I guess you just went to?
So that's the Lower Roanoke Refuge. But we go up to Pisgah some and Uhari also. A lot of the game lands that I hunt around here are Falls Lake, Jordan Lake, and Caswell.
Is that all spot and stock?
No, most of my hunt, well, every bit of my hunt's out of a tree stand.
Is it?
Yeah, I carry in a lock home or a saddle, and just walk in there and hunt.
Yeah. I imagine it'd be difficult to spot and stock with how dense the trees are.
It is, and all the deciduous trees, losing their leaves around here, you can't be quiet no matter how hard you try to.
That's true. Figure out how to just hunt from jumping tree to tree.
Yeah, that's you basically have to be like a squirrel.
Except the squirrels out here are extremely loud.
Yeah, they act like deer.
So for wow, look at that.
A bunch of cormorants. It's one thing I wish we had a season on. It's illegal to shoot them, but they destroy fish populations.
There's a bunch of people up the Cape Cod area want to make seal hunting legal again because they're attracting a ton of sharks and making the beaches impossible to swim in.
I saw that. I completely disagree with that one.
You do?
Yeah.
You think it's a weird thing to hunt?
Yeah, I mean that's. I don't know. It's like hunting sharks.
Yeah.
Or walruses or something like that. There's really not much of a hunt in it.
As far as it being a challenge?
Yeah, I mean, you basically find them and walk up to them. I don't really know that you can fish for them, but
nah, you wouldn't be able to fish for them.
I mean, it's basically like harpooning whales.
I think that's basically how they used to do it, was harpoons. But yeah, I mean, I guess if you're a local and you're interested in the beaches there for surfing and whatnot, and then you get disappointed by the fact that people are just being bit left and right.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that, but at the same time, it's like somebody coming to your house and telling you that you can't swim there. And it's a shark, or it's a shark. It's their water, not ours.
Sure. Yeah. What do you feel about the boar hunts that are like invasive to farmlands?
Shoot them all.
Yeah. Don't feel the same about that one?
No. The main reason is they destroy a lot of crops.
Yeah.
And make it where the farmer that's already struggling can't make any money because their crops are getting destroyed. One thing I don't really like, but would be fun to try, would be out in Texas, where they take the helicopters and shoot them.
I don't even know that I'd have to shoot them. I'd be happy to sit on that helicopter.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't imagine just flying down something like like Rambo and just like doo doo doo.
Yeah.
And I mean, it would be an experience. That's for sure.
There was one meat eater I saw. I think he's in Australia, and he's just hired by farmers to take out boar, but he does it with 2 dogs and a knife to make it a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah, I saw that. The other thing is like spearing them.
Yeah.
Where they bay them up and then drop the spear down on top of them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's pretty cool.
That one I might be able to do. I don't think I could do the knife thing. That's too up close and personal.
Yeah, that's getting a little too close. Just like I don't ever see myself being able to afford it, but being able to go to Africa and shooting like a lion or a Cape buffalo or anything like that.
I mean, they even have packages where you can shoot a rhino with a trach dart.
Yeah, I don't.
It just seems weird.
I just don't like the idea of shooting a lion that can come and attack me.
And there's that. Yeah.
I remember one clip. Can't remember who it was, but it was on the Outdoor Channel. The guy was over there hunting, and he shot the Cape buffalo, or it was a lion. He shot the lion, and his guide actually had to take and shove him out of the way, and the lion fell right down where he was laying, or where he was sitting to shoot him. Yeah, that's something that I don't think I could do.
Yeah. Even boar hunting makes me a little nervous with the tusks. Seems like out here, though, most of the boar hunts are from a stand.
Yeah, I'd say pretty much all of them are. Any guided hunt here in North Carolina would be.
That's what it seems like. All the guided hunts that I've been on in California, only one of them was big game, but that was basically a side by side, and then they'd get close enough to glass them, and then we'd sort of get close to them. Yeah. The boars weren't really skittish on that one, but that's where I got my ram. That was about 200 yards away. I want to say like 2 hillsides over. So they probably could see us in the distance, but not close enough to bother them. Mm-hmm.
Do they have hogs out in California?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I think they're everywhere. Hogs are everywhere. They even have them on, I don't know if you're familiar with Catalina Island.
Yeah.
But they're not native. They were just brought there. And I don't know if boars are native at all to America. I think they're all European.
I don't know. I haven't looked that much into it.
Well, maybe I'll get a comment, and then I'll be like, well, I don't have to do research now.
That's the thing about the internet. Someone always knows something. But
there's always somebody that wants to just say something outlandish just to get a reaction to. But you know what? If I can get comments of any kind, it'll help my algorithm, so they can say all the bad things they want.
Yeah.
Is despite not having the patience to sit out, is there any bucket list hunts for your kids, or even types of fishing?
I don't even know how to answer that question.
Have they ever talked about like, oh, I'd love to get a deer or?
No. I mean, they haven't even started those discussions yet.
Yeah.
Honestly, if I could get them away from video games and for some reason watching people play video games on the TV.
Yeah, it's gotten really popular.
If I can get them away from that, then it'll be fine. But breaking them away from that, or at least being able to control it, has proven difficult.
What about camping?
The first time we went camping was not this summer, but last summer. We took them down to Myrtle Beach in my parents' RV.
Okay.
And
the campsites over there, or just two?
Yeah,
okay.
Campsites. We went to Lakewood Campground.
Yeah.
And they had a ball. It's they enjoyed it. So,
what'd y'all do down there?
So we stayed in the RV, and then we went to a bunch of dinner shows, Medieval Times, and a few of the other ones. Then we went to the aquarium.
Oh, okay.
And,
so you went camping, but you did the tour stuff.
Yeah.
Do they, I guess at least, well, Yeah, I guess at least at the campsite, do they unplug it all, or being in the RV, is that?
Yeah, no, I mean being in the campsite, we never really stayed in the RV when we were there.
Oh, okay, that's good.
We were either at the beach, we were down at the pool, in the lazy river. They got a bunch of activities.
Yeah.
Or we were riding the golf cart around the campground.
Yeah, that's very cool. That counts.
Yeah, yeah.
Steve Ranalla, I think that's how you pronounce his name. Mm-hmm. I always forget how I have to like spell it in my head.
Yeah.
He really dislikes golf, but like even that I consider kind of an outdoor activity.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I grew up playing golf, played in high school. I was probably hitting well over 500 golf balls a week.
Yeah.
Sometimes even on Sunday, I was hitting at least 500 just on Sundays.
Oh, wow. You're really into it then.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's been 7 years since I picked up a golf club.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't play that often, but I at least play, more recently, I should say, I play probably once a year at least. I went out to California for Thanksgiving and played golf with some buddies. And I was like, I'm a little rusty this year. This is only going to be my third game this year. And my friend's like, oh, wow. And thinking that I'm going to be terrible. And he commented that I had improved a lot more since the last time he and I golfed. And I said, and he was struggling because he'd been playing more that year though.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's the trick. You got to play less.
Yeah. I think we're getting ready to move.
All right. That's kind of cool. It tells you where you've been.
Yeah. So we came over a lot of bait, and I dropped that point on it, so I know where to go back.
You ever actually catch bass on that? Oh. All right. Well, I guess while we're on the topic, where do you see God in the outdoors?
I see him everywhere. I mean, he created all of it, so he's yeah. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah, I remember being at the beach this last summer, and I was just kind of watching the waves wash up on the shore, and just kind of the foam dissipates and the water disintegrates into the sand, and the sand's changing color, and there's just all this very fine detail, and it made me think like that's something God created, and there's just beauty in watching something so simple.
Yeah, that was a lot more in depth than what I went.
I thought you were interviewing me.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I don't know how to describe it. It's one of the best feelings for me is, you know, when you're in a duck blind and the sun comes up, or in a swamp and the sun comes up, and you start seeing it through the trees, and everything comes to life. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing that reminds me of God is, you know, seeing everything wake up early in the morning.
Yeah. There was, I think it was, I don't know, maybe during season 2 of Meat Eater, when I think he's turkey hunting, and they get out of their tent, and they're just in the morning as the sun's barely coming up, and he says, it's almost like with all the birds, it's almost like a band warming up, just one bird making a noise at a time, and then eventually the whole orchestra is going. Yep.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
Yeah, it really is what it's like. And then you got the squirrels.
Yep. The most aggravating animal in the world when you're deer hunting.
Yeah. What was that? Yeah, at some point I just stopped looking, and that's probably when the deer shows up.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, why don't you tell me about its guiding eyes?
Yeah. Guiding eyes outdoors. We take blind people, military veterans, first responders, and children of the fallen, and do pretty much anything they want to do outdoors. Hunting and fishing are our main activities, but we're trying to get into kayaking, canoeing, backpacking, and hiking. But what we try to do is the main thing that we try to do is treat them like normal human beings. When they go out on other trips, other organizations, they try to coddle them, especially the blind people, where we basically let them do what everyone else does. We sight guide them and things like that, but if they're once we're back at camp, they have free reign to do what they want to. So that's kind of how we run our camps. We've had one guy. He was convinced he could do it by himself, right? So we left him alone at camp, and then at the event that he was in, the back door had a double porch on it, double staircase. Well, he went up one and right down the other one and fell down the second step. But he got back up and brushed himself off and took off walking again. And that's the biggest thing, is giving them that sense of independence. And that's our motto, is providing independence and inspiration.
Yeah. What got you started doing that?
So I've had a couple of blind people in my family, a cousin and then a great uncle, and hearing of how they had to grow up, and I guess the situations that they've been in.
Yeah.
I had my great uncle moved up to New York City, and he had a bank that he went to every day to draw his money out, because he didn't like carrying a lot of money, so he'd go to the bank every day. And he always had one teller that he'd go to, and he went one day and that teller was out sick. So the teller that he went to, he had a certain way that he folded his bills so that he knew what they were. Yeah. And he asked them to fold them that way. Well, she played a trick on him and folded them differently than what he told her. So she folded his $5 bills like she would a $1 bill. Well, he went to a store to get something, and he handed him what he thought was the correct amount, and the cashier said that it was the wrong amount. Well, my great uncle, obviously was mad, and went back to the bank complaining about it, and they actually pulled the footage and saw that she was doing that on purpose.
She'd be malicious on purpose.
Yep. So hearing stories like that, it makes me realize, that I'm fortunate, I guess. So that's why I got into this.
Yeah, that makes sense. How many partners do you have in this?
We've got, so it was 3 co-founders, myself and 2, an Army vet and a Marine. And we started that, so we've got 7 people now that help us, that are technically on staff, but obviously we're all unpaid.
Yeah. Very cool. What are the future plans from this to grow?
Honestly, the sky's the limit for it. We see a lot of potential. We're working with Georgia Tech to develop our own site that will allow our blind people to actually target the animals themselves. So now we use digital sites or tacticams where we have to guide them to the animal.
Yeah.
And this site with Georgia Tech will actually use target acquisition, and it's got thousands of pictures of deer and turkeys or whatever else embedded into it. And when a deer walks out, it will tell the person, it'll identify the deer, then it'll tell the person, okay, go left or go right. And then it'll guide them to the ethical shot for that animal. And then it'll tell them, when to pull the trigger.
Very cool.
So that's one thing that we're working on. And
so that's just potentially something that they could do with like a family member. They don't have to do it through a foundation.
Well,
in the future.
Honestly, what we're trying to do is we're trying to develop kind of like a hunter safety course for blind people, and have it to where through our mentoring program that they complete this course along with their mentor, and both of them come out of it certified to be able to take blind people outdoors. And through that, what we're hoping to do is develop that program and be able to offer it to states. That way they can offer it and get more blind people outdoors in their states.
Right.
So we've got a lot of pet projects that, given time and given the correct resources, that I feel like we can really make this thing explode here in the next 4 or 5 years, hopefully.
Yeah, that would be great. You mentioned you before that you potentially wanted to figure out how to involve more kids.
Yeah, so that's our biggest thing is the Gold Star kids, the Blue Star kids. They're all pretty well protected. It's hard to break into that group to get those kids outdoors unless you know one personally. It's not really a foundation that you can reach out to that they'll give you that information.
Right.
Which is difficult and frustrating because we're here to help people, but nobody will let us get the information to help them. So yeah, we're trying to do that. We want to do community days, get the community out there, specifically targeted toward the blind and those kids. If you know any blind people or vets or first responders, please send them to our website at guideandeyesoutdoors.org, or visit us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and fill out some applications for events, and we'll get you out there.
Very cool. Do you have any bucket list hunts or fishing trips?
No, I don't. I don't really think about that. I just do what I can.
Satisfied with what you have? Sounds like you do a lot.
Yeah. Ask my wife.
Yeah.
But like I said earlier, she's great about it.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on the podcast. This was fun. Thanks for inviting me out here. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for coming. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on to tell about our story.
Absolutely.
Thank you for tuning in. If you like this content, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. And if you want to join the adventure, you can pick yourself up a nice hat or a camping coffee mug and brew yourself some coffee right above a nice little fire at greatoutdoorspodcast.com. Oh, kind of grainy.